Hello, welcome to AleaSoft webinar. My name is Alejandro Delgado, Associate Partner of AleaSoft, and thank you for joining us today to the webinar with the topic Prospects for Energy Markets in Europe, Batteries, Hybridization, and Energy Storage. Our first speaker today will be Oriol Saltó, Associate Partner of AleaSoft, that will analyze the evolution of the European energy markets and the storage projects being developed at AleaSoft. Our second speaker will be Luis Marquina, President of AEPIBAL, the Spanish Association of Batteries and Energy Storage, chairing this session with us for the second consecutive year. Luis will talk about the hot topics right now in the energy sector: batteries, hybridization, and energy storage. If you have any questions at any time during the webinar, please use the Q&A menu and we will answer them after the presentations. And now, I hope you enjoy the webinar. Oriol, you can start now.
Thank you, Alejandro. Good morning, everybody. So let's start right away. I will do the first part of the webinar, talking about looking at the energy markets in the last weeks. We will be looking what has happened since our last webinar. It was 4 weeks ago, and let me tell you in advance, we are going to focus mainly on gas because prices are still rising, and interesting phenomena has happened this in the last weeks. So we will mainly focus on gas because Brent, CO2 are basically doing the same thing that they have been doing for the last month. So, but let's start with, as always, with a brief introduction of AleaSoft and the services that we provide. In case that you don't know us, in AleaSoft we provide forecasting services for energy markets. We cover all the energy markets in Europe, also some markets in the Middle East, South Africa, South America, North America, and we have data and we are ready to modelize and forecast most of the markets at the global level. The forecasting methodology that we use is a methodology that we developed ourselves, specifically for forecasting in the energy sector. The 3 main points that we always like to stress is that it is a completely scientifically based methodology. It's a hybrid model that combines more classical statistical techniques like regression, econometrics, time series analysis, combined with more advanced techniques of artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms, etc. So it's a specific way of doing forecasting based on science and statistics. This hybrid model provides robust, coherent, stable forecast. One of the main aspects that our clients most appreciate about our forecasting is the coherency and consistency over time. So we keep consistent forecasts on each delivery. And well, it's the methodology that we have been using for more than 25 years now. This year we are celebrating the 25th anniversary of the company. And over time, we have started providing a lot of services. So using this opportunity of our anniversary, we have divided all the services that we provide in different divisions. So it is easy and to understand and to explain the services that we provide. We basically provide any services that can be needed at some point for developers or any actor, any player in the energy sector. Under Alea Green, we have all the services related with long-term forecasting, renewable energies, PPAs, financing, everything at the long term. At Alea Blue, we have all the services related with the short and mid-term, so price forecasting, demand forecasting, renewable energy production forecasting at the short term, so hours ahead, days ahead, up to 2-3 years ahead. Under Alea Hub, we have several marketplaces. We have marketplaces for PPAs, also between project developers and off-takers. We have a marketplace for assets, so to buy or sell projects or renewable assets. Under Alea Storage, all the services that we will talk a little bit afterwards, all the services that we provide for storage, so batteries, hybridization of energy storage with renewable energies. And then we have Alea White and Alea Consulting, where we provide tailored report for our clients depending on their needs. Also We provide monthly reports, and we regularly publish news about the energy sectors in our website. So basically, anything related. We also have an online database, a service that provides updated energy for our clients. So basically, we try to cover any need that our clients may have at some point of the development or the operation of their project. With all these services, we cover basically the needs of any of the players. We have clients in the production side, on the consumption side, operators, TSOs, DSOs, sponsors, investors, lenders, banks. So basically, any player in the energy sector. So let's start looking at the markets. As I mentioned, I will focus mainly on gas, but we always start with the Brent oil prices. So basically, during the last weeks, since our last webinar that was here in the mid of October, basically the same picture. So a lot of volatility at the short term, mainly coming from the geopolitical tension in the Middle East, fears about disruptions in the supply. So basically volatility. And for looking ahead for the next month in 2025, basically pessimism about the growth of demand. Most of the energies, the International Energy Agency, the EIA, the American EIA, and also the OPEC, the producers, have been decreasing the prospects for growth demand. So basically pessimism looking ahead on the demand, and optimism on the production side. The production of the non-OPEC countries is still increasing. OPEC countries decided to delay the increase of production that was planned for December. Now it's delayed until January. It was already being delayed from September to December, now to January, and probably it's going to be further delayed again in 2025. So basically, again, pessimism on the demand growth, optimism on the production side. So basically, prices staying around 70, 75 for 2025. Most analysts project something around 80. So basically, prices are staying at this level. Now, about gas. In our last webinar, we saw how prices were approaching rapidly to the 40 euros megawatt hour level. And we said that this barrier was probably going to be broken really soon. And that's what happened. So prices are now between 40, 45, 43, usually euros megawatt hour. Well, today they are above 45, so they are already above 45. So prices are still rising in this upwards trend. So what is the reason behind this upwards trend? As we have been mentioned, it's really, or until now, it wasn't really concerned about that we were going to have problems during the gas supply during the winter, because we had the gas storage levels quite full. So basically, it was mainly coming from the LNG supply side, because the demand is increasing at the global level. So there are fears that this competition for LNG during the winter and then during the refill season afterwards is going to put pressure on the market, and then prices would increase. But now we have another concern, and it is that right now the storage levels are already decreasing. Now we will see afterwards why. Basically, they reached their maximum at 95.3% by the end of October. Right now, they are down by 93%. So they started decreasing. We are entering the heating season, so it's what is expected. But if we compare to the storage level of last year, we see that we started the withdrawal of gas from the storage 2.5 weeks earlier. So obviously this is concerning the market, because now the market is is trying to answer where are we going to be by the end of the heating season. So where will we start the refilling season? So if it's going to decrease very fast, then we will end up with very low levels at the beginning of the summer. So then we will need to buy a lot of gas to again fill up the storage. So this is going, as we will see, this also had an impact on gas futures for the summer. We will see that afterwards. But on the short term, we are basically putting pressure on the prices, and as we see, we are keeping this upwards trend. So why this happened? Well, in the last weeks, we had what it's called the Dunkelflotte. It's a phenomenon basically that happens when you have no wind or low wind and no solar. And this is usually combined with very cold temperatures, mainly in the central northern part of Europe. And it means that if you have cold temperatures, this means a lot of power demand. And if you have no wind and no sun, basically you mean to have to produce using gas or coal. This means increased gas demand, and this means pressure on the prices. And during last week, the gas demand increased by 40%. Most of this increase in demand was covered with storage gas. That's why storage level decreased so rapidly. And basically, right now, as I mentioned, the market is wondering where are we going to end up at the beginning of the summer. So how much gas we will need to buy during the summer in order to refill again all the storage. So basically, we are putting pressure on prices. So prices will probably keep growing during the winter, and probably in the summer, next summer, they are going to be high again. We will take a look at the futures afterwards. CO2 prices, basically on the same trend. If we just look at the last weeks, we can see some short upwards trend, but basically we are still inside the midterm downwards trend. So basically, maybe this is the change in trend that we are expecting on the long term. Maybe not, difficult to say. And basically, we don't expect the change in the trend to be just now. Probably prices will be inside this range for some time. Then at the long term, as we always say, we expect the CO2 prices to go up because the volume of emissions is going to decrease. The volume of available allowances are going to decrease every year. So with less demand, we are expecting prices to go up at the long term. Now, let's take a look at the electricity markets. We will see the impact that we saw about the increase in gas prices. And we always take this opportunity to show the online database that I was mentioning. Is one of the services that we provide to our clients. So basically, these are the monthly average prices for some of the most important electricity markets in Europe. The last full month that we have is October, and basically what we see is that Italy is still the market with the highest prices. France is still the market with lower prices. Here we are not putting the Nord Pool, so the Nordic countries. So if we only compare this one, France is still the market with the lowest prices. If we compare to the last full month that we saw in our last webinar, that was September, basically most of the basically most of the markets increased their prices. That's basically, as I mentioned, because we are having lower temperatures. This means more demand. We also are having solar is decreasing because seasonally it is decreasing. We also had in October, less wind. We also had higher gas prices. So everything points to the direction of increasing prices in the electricity markets. France, Belgium up 18%, Germany and UK up around 10%. And then Spain is the only market that went down by 6%, and Italy stayed basically the same, just minus 0.4%. If we take a closer look at the behavior during the last weeks, these are the daily averages since the 1st of September. So basically, we can see how in October and now in November so far, prices are increasing. And here you can see the November the 6th, where we had a peak of prices, daily prices went up to more than 200 euros megawatt hour in Germany. And this is due to that Duncan-Flotte effect that I was mentioning, that also pushed up gas prices. And this is also seen in the hourly prices. Those are the hourly prices since the beginning of October. And you can see there were 3 days. The main day was November the 6th. And if we look at what are the fundamentals behind this increase in prices, if we go to the German market, that is the main market with where these peak prices occurred. Here you have in blue, you have prices. You can see the peak in prices for November the 6th. And then you have here in red, you have offshore wind. In yellow, in red, you have onshore wind. In yellow, offshore wind. And in green, you have the solar photovoltaics. And you can see how everything collapsed in this day, November the 6th. So basically, we had no wind, very, very low photovoltaics, and increased the demand, as I said. So basically, everything went in the direction of having very hard prices. We can take a look at the temperatures, and you can see how starting at the beginning of November, temperatures went down. So this means increased demand. So basically, having the perfect storm to have high gas prices and also very high electricity market prices. Okay, let's go back to my slides. Here they are. Okay, so taking a look now at the futures market, we will also see interesting things in the gas futures. But let's start with the Brent oil futures. Basically, no changes, as the spot prices have been fluctuating, but basically around the same price level. The forward curve, so what are the futures market seeing now for the energy, the oil that is going to be delivered into the future, compared to the curve that we see 4 weeks ago. Basically a slightly 2.5% decrease, but basically staying at the same levels. Now, the interesting thing is, as I mentioned, gas futures. And here we can, the clear thing that we can see is the increase of the futures prices that we see at the short term. So 9.6% increase in the futures for December. That's a lot. 9.8% for summer 2025. And then basically no increase or even a slightly increase for the winter. And we see how this increase in summer prices propagated also several years ahead, while prices for the winter were kept more or less at the same level. Prices for the summer increased a little bit. But this is just a propagation effect from the prices that increased during the summer. As I mentioned, the market is now worried about where will the storage levels be at the beginning of the summer, and then how much gas we will need to buy to refill them to face the next winter. And something relatively unusual happened is that prices for the next summer are higher than prices for the next winter. So if we plot the spread between summer 25 and winter 25, we see that they are now reversed about the usual trend. So the usual trend is having winter prices higher than summer prices. Now they reversed. So this is quite an unusual situation that we are having, basically raising fears about how much gas we will need to buy during the summer. We are just at the beginning of the winter. Storage level decreased a lot, but it was just due to some temporary conditions. So basically, probably the market is overreacting, but at the end of the day, the prices are rising. So being overreacting or not, we are having higher prices. Then CO2, again, no much changes, 3.1% increase in the whole curve, basically staying at the same levels. If we look at the futures markets for electricity, for Italy, Spain, France, and Germany, for Italy and Germany, we had large increases, 5.2%, basically responding to the increase in the gas futures, slightly less in France, 3%, and then Spain basically staying the same, even decreasing prices at the long term. As we always say, those prices at such a long term are really not very meaningful because there is basically no liquidity for these maturities. Okay, so just making a summary of what we have seen, what are the key elements also that we are seeing, we are taking now into account when forecasting. Basically, I haven't changed most of the sentences for oil or for CO2. I don't even mention CO2 because basically nothing happened. The key points these weeks have been gas, how prices keep increasing, how the futures are worried about the next refilling season more than the next winter or more than the present winter. The repercussion that this is happening in electricity market prices. Sorry, and now today that we are going to talk about batteries and energy storage. Basically, what we are seeing is that we are the last 5 years were basically dominated by the solar photovoltaic revolution. So installed capacity increasing at exponential rate. For the next 5 years, we expect batteries to be the ones that are increasing rapidly the installed capacity. And we think that it's going to be one of the key drivers that will shape the European electricity markets in the next 5 years. And at the very long term, well, renewable energies, hydrogen increased in electricity demand due to the electrification of many sectors, hybridization of energy storage technologies with renewables, everything it's going to shape the market, electricity market and market prices. And then as a final chapter of this first part, just let me explain what are the projects that we are doing, that we are seeing. So basically what we are being asked in this last month. That's why also we are saying what we are seeing for the next 5 years. Basically what we are mainly doing are standalone battery projects and also hybrid projects, being it hybridized with wind power plants or with solar power plants. And we also made some projects hybridizing the three technologies, so solar, wind, and energy storage. So basically, the projects that we receive are usually they are usually both 2 projects at a time. So the same company trying to explore the possibility of hybridizing an existing power plant or a new projected power plant, all together with prospecting the possibility to make a standalone project only with batteries. And we basically provide the long-term revenue forecasting for the project, revenues coming from the wholesale markets or from the ancillary services, and we can also make some scenarios for capacity markets. Some countries already have capacity markets. In countries like Spain, we don't still have results for capacity market. So we make scenarios, possible situations, depending on the derating for the batteries, for the prices that will end up appearing in the market. So we cannot make really estimations or projections, but we can propose scenarios. We also provide CapEx and OpEx estimation for battery projects. We can also develop financial models. Also, if you don't have a battery in mind, we can make the estimation of the optimal capacity for a given project. And we are doing this in Spain and in other European countries, and we can do that at any market at the global level. And that's it. Let me finish inviting you to our next webinar. It's going to be the webinar number 50. And it's going also to be the 5th anniversary of this webinar series that we are doing. So we will be talking about that. The last 5 years that we have, where we have seen the photovoltaic revolution, and the next 5 years that we are going to be to look at the energy storage battery. So we will be talking about everything about analyzing the past, but mainly talking about what we see in the near future. And let me tell you, if you have the chance to connect to the Spanish version of the webinar, that's going to be 2 hours later at 12 o'clock, we will have a very interesting analysis table. We will have invites from PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, so talking about all this that I mentioned. So it's going to be really, really interesting. So if you have the chance also to connect to the Spanish version of the webinar, I've already invited you. So that's all. Thank you, Alejandro.
Thank you very much, Uriol. A really interesting presentation, as usual. And Luis, when you're ready, you can share your slides now and start the presentation. Luis, you are on mute. No,
yes,
we can.
Yeah. Can you hear me and can you see me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Let me share the presentation. Okay, that's it. Okay.
Now we can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for this invitation. And yes, we met 1 year ago, and we did a general overview about what is the storage in Spain and where we are at the moment. I would like to do a short and briefly update about where we are. Okay. So the first thing to say is that the storage is here to provide a massive deployment of renewables. Okay, I think this is a key issue, and you have to have this point in mind and always. Okay, what has happened this year? Well, I don't know how to take out this ticket. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the most relevant topics in Spain, I'd say there are these ones. Okay, the first one is there has been the first co-located tender awarded with about 150 million. It's about 600 megawatts. But there is still a lot of permitting problems. And there is a deadline April 2026, and there is real problems to achieve that deadline. Okay, so all the projects and the promoters are really concerned about how they can achieve this date. So the minister is working in different ways to resolve that problems, but we have a real problem with that. Okay. And this was awarded in February of that year, March this year. Okay. The first standalone tender is still in progress. I mean, the commissioning is still at risk because they have the same deadline, April 2026, and still we don't have the definitive and the final results. Okay, so we are in a. Okay, can you see me and can you hear me properly? Hello?
Yes, Luis, go ahead.
Okay, please, sorry. So this is from the, let's say, the tender ways, okay, and the public tenders, okay. But in the free market, 18 gigawatts of standalone and co-located projects with access has been achieved, and 10 gigawatts more are waiting. This is a massive amount of gigawatts, and probably not all the projects will be constructed at the end. Okay, but it shows how the market is hectic and how the people still believe Spain is going to be a great country in terms of storage and co-located. Okay, obviously there is some speculation on that. Let me say that there is a lot of promoters that they try to develop all the permitting process just to sell the papers, are ready to build or before, and I mean this is it doesn't. I mean there is some a not clear picture about how many projects are going to be finally achieved. Okay, but I mean there is a great and massive appetite on developed projects in standalone in Spain. In terms of some regulation issues, there is a new demand order that expressly talk about the flexibility. So at the end of the way, what we see is very hopefully model of storage in Spain. I mean, the idea is that storage should work when it can work. Okay, this is the maximum flexibility. The operator is not in the same page, but it's not so far. I mean, what we mean is there is a real idea that the flexibility is the only way that the storage can work. So we hope that the new demand order it has to be written in detail, has to be regulated in detail in the next year, and I think we will see a flexibility model where storage can work in better conditions than is working right now. Okay. There's a substantial change of precedence order for co-located plants, and I mean it has been a step back. I mean, if you have a PV plant, for instance, and you install some storage, whatever be the measure. I mean, if you have 100 megawatts of PV and 1 megawatt hour in the storage, you're going to be considered as manageable asset, and you will lose the chance to. I mean, you will be could if there is any curtailment, and you will be good as any other manageable technology, for instance, as combined cycle. Okay, and this is a real step back, and I think it's going to be corrected in the next months. And the very good news from us is just to show the importance and the relevance of the storage in Spain. The ministry has created a new charge, a public charge, which is the subdirector of storage and flexibility. I think there is it's been leading by a new great professional with great knowledge, and we have really the idea or the hope that is going to be one step. Is going to help to clarify and to push the storage where we need it to be. Okay. There is still issues that has to be resolved, And for instance, we have real problems with the statement of the public authority for the power lines, and also the urban planning process for storage assets. It's not the ideal situation. I mean, the status of the storage are related to the power lines, and the planning process has not the same status than renewables. Okay, so and that's what we're claiming for. We need to have the same status than renewables, so it will be easier for promoters to connect the plants. If you have an agreement with some landlord, but you cannot cross the lines through other landlords' properties, then you will have a problem. So with the renewables, you have the chance to do this process, but with the storage, it's not clear right now. We are working with the minister to resolve that, and also with the communities, with the regional governments, which they have a lot to say on that too. The capacity market has been promised since 1 year ago. What we received from the government is they're still dealing with Brussels and with the Commission. The Commission has changed, as you know, but we really hope that it is going to be something that will be approved in the next months. That's what they say. Honestly, they've been saying the same in the last year, but I think we are arriving to the end of this way. So we could hope having a capacity market in Spain in the first 6 months of the next year. Also, we have a great opportunity and a great problem too. It's a challenge, but today is a problem with the island markets, basically with the Baleares Island, and we have some expectations about how can it be resolved. There is still tax issues, how it's going to be charged the incomes of the storage is not clear picture yet. And the collocated and hybridisation plants still have not a clear picture of if they can get if they can charge from the grid in some configurations that I will explain later. Okay, it's the same with the toll and charges. Is not clear. Basically, today they don't have to pay, but we need further clarification on that. We are near to arrive to the end, but we are still in process. At least a lot of small details that has to be resolved. It's the same with the guarantees of origin, okay? And there is no clear picture if the collocated can receive these guarantees, okay? So what today they say is that all the production of electricity that comes from the plant to the storage, they cannot achieve these guarantees, which doesn't make sense at all because it's clean energy provided to the system, okay? Not because it goes to the grid through the storage, should lose this guarantee, okay? Which at the end of the day is an extra income, okay? So and we've seen something that is really a concern to us, which is some social opposition for batteries and for storage. For instance, there is in Asturias a community which has been concentrated a lot of projects, more than 1.8 gigawatts there, in about 75 projects, which means about 60 municipalities, and people is concerned and they have reacted very aggressively. Then, I mean, there is something that we have to work just to avoid this social opposition, okay? But let's go back to the basics. I mean, the storage, I think, is very clear, which are the benefits. And they use very small spaces, and the assets are ground level, and there is a very minimum and easy to reduce the visual impact, no significant noise, no minimal civil works, and there is no water consumption and no industrial water discharge. So it will lead the massive new renewable integration assets, and also it's going to optimize, which is a very, very important issue. Here in Spain, there is a massive debate about how to, if we want to achieve our national plan, we need a lot of grid. We need to construct a lot of lines, new lines, but there is also a challenge optimizing the grid we have, and the storage will help to do that. Okay, and obviously reducing the pollutant emissions. Okay, let me show you some dates and some ratios. Okay, I think it's very interesting. The energy density of batteries has increased significantly from 1.15 or 20 megawatt hours per square meter to even all 0.3 megawatt hours per square meter. It means that the rack with 8 to 10 modules occupying 1.5 square meters is nearly to achieve 500 kilowatt hours, which is a great amount of power in very small space. In, for instance, a container of 20 feet, which is 14 or 15 square meters, we could achieve between 2.5 megawatt hour and 5 megawatt hours. In fact, there are some manufacturers which are achieving even 6.5 megawatt hours today. Okay, but these are the average rates of power installed per container. And if we go to the occupied area, including containers, security distance between containers, power block, path, and all the asset included, if we talk about 50 megawatt hours, the container surface is about 150 to 300 square meters. So we are talking that 10 to 20 containers are getting about 1,500, 3,000 square meters. I mean, third part of an hectare. For instance, in a standalone project of 400 megawatt hours, we are talking about 1 hectare. Okay, which is this should be one of the biggest standalone projects that we can imagine. Okay, 400 megawatt hours is a great asset, very big, and is occupying 1 hectare. I don't know if you have in mind this kind of ratios, but I think it's interesting to understand what are we talking about. Okay, and for instance, in an occupied area in a co-located plant, we are talking about, for instance, in this case, 50 megawatts, 49 asset of a storage with 20 megawatts in 45 megawatt hours. We are talking about 25% of our hectare, which is 2,500 square meters, occupying the 21% of the total asset, including PV and storage. I mean, with these ratios, what we want to show is how land cannot be a problem ever. Okay, and we really believe that we have to face another kind of problems, another type of contest. Okay, in terms of a social opposition, but land shouldn't be the one of them. Okay. We have now in Spain three different configurations. The first one is a standalone, which is very easy. The second one is a co-located in AC/DC. It means it can be used for existing plants or new plants, and you can also you have the chance to charge the batteries from the solar plant or to charge the batteries from the grid. Okay. This second solution is still not clear, okay? And some details have to be resolved. How the co-located can charge from both sides, from the solar plant or from the grid, okay? And also there is the co-located DC, which they only charge from the grid, which is the easiest way. And it is, I'd say, what the minister have in mind always, okay? And I think the storage, the co-located storage, has been designed and thought and understood as an asset that will get we should avoid the curtailments. I mean, it means that we'll get all the extraordinary or accident of the PV plants. Okay, so and then you sell them afterwards. So this is the different schemes we are working in Spain. And let me remark that the most interesting one, which is the middle, so you can charge the battery from the grid and also from the plant, is still there are still some uncertainty on them. Okay. Let me provide some technological inputs. There is a lot of people who ask, well, what happened with the batteries? Is it going to be lithium for all the batteries we have to install, including vehicle, etc.? Let's say some inputs. The 1% of the a third of the battery is aluminium. The most used materials are not critical: aluminium, copper, steel, and plastic. Only 23% are active materials. The graphite is the most one, and only 1% of the batteries is lithium. And the critical raw materials are the nickel, cobalt, and manganese. That still has to be used, obviously. Perhaps cobalt can be substituted in the future, but today the lithium is not a problem. The problem could be with other raw materials where we have very few countries that can provide it. For instance, the cobalt. Okay. Let me continue. Perhaps you've never seen what is a lithium cell. The lithium cell is what we see is hermetic pack that contains the anode and the anodic and cathodic material. There is exchange of electrons that provide the electricity. Okay. Let me which are the applications in terms of market that the batteries can provide? There are 4. Installed there are 2. Behind the meter and in front of the meter. Front of the meter is the large scale projects that we've seen before, but also the batteries are thought and designed to work in residential market, in commercial market, and industrial market. I think, and I'd say, and what we are looking at right now is there is a massive appetite in industrial and commercial side to install batteries, just to, for instance, to resolve the peaking problems that they have, and also to find ways to decarbonize, also to provide services to the grid. So in industrial and commercial side, there is a very, very interesting work to do now. Large scale is always there. Great projects, very large projects from 5 megawatts to 500 megawatts. Okay. Well, the applications are very clear. I don't want to. I think you know all of them. You can obviously is unnecessary to the renewables integration, also to design microgrids that can work outside of the grid, also as distribution and grid support, and finally for commercial and industrial. There is some misunderstanding about which technology is going to be the winner, and there is a lot of services that the grid needs, and there is a lot of services that the batteries can provide, but no single technology can provide all the required services. That's why the lithium is the winner today. Why? Because it's in the middle of all the necessities of the grid and all the necessities of the electricity market. Okay, it's not the best in some services, but at the end of the day, it's in the average of all of them and can provide services, the services required. Okay, let me provide some figures that I think are interesting. Well, the solar capture price per production in Spain has dropped down significantly. I mean, what we've seen in this year is something that we have to think about. For instance, in the spring or during the spring, we've seen a lot of days with solar pricing about 0. Okay, even negative pricing. Okay, so it means that the curve deck many days is very high. For instance, can you see the picture at the right? This is from yesterday or from 2 days ago. Look at this. I mean, there was 20 degrees, a lot of sun, some wind. That was the result of the pricing. It's about 5-6 hours with the price below 20 or 10 even euros megawatt hour. So in Spain this year, and sure, AleaSoft and Oriol can correct me if I'm wrong, but we will have more than 800 hours below 10 euros megawatt hour. What does it mean? It means that renewables deployment has a problem within this frame of pricing. And I think this is clear. And the storage is probably one of the solutions, but not the unique solution. What we obviously need is to increase the demand and also to move the demand from the night to the solar hours, which is not easy to do. Okay. If we do a brief update about which is the business case, which is I think is an interesting picture. What we see is different things. The first one is if we assume that 1 gigawatt of batteries will be connecting from 2026 onwards until 2030, for instance, 5 gigawatt of storage will be necessary for energy supply security and should receive these capacity payments that we've been talking before. Okay, in these conditions, what we see, and if you can look this graphic, the weight of the ancillary service is very, very high during the next years. I mean, the first 1-2 gigawatts will receive very good income from the ancillary services, but will be decreasing because the cannibalization of this market, this ancillary market, which is small in Spain right now, will happen very, very fast in the next 5-6 years. But even say that, we can say that pricing of the batteries dropping down too very dramatically. We've seen 30% of discounts or 30% of the pricing dropping down in 1 year. We could achieve about 5% of IRR, only talking about merchant, I mean arbitrage and ancillary service. If we get a sort of capacity market, we can be around 10%, which are the figures I think the investors are looking for. Okay, the industrial change is there. This is something that we still have a gap with China products and with the United States with the IRA. I mean, the pricing in Spain, Europe is still higher. If we compare that pricing with the United States, with the state support that the IRA provides, and obviously with China, they have very big industry and with a very great governmental and unknown governmental support. Okay, the main challenge is how to complete a value chain in Europe. We need knowledge, we need industry, we need circularity with the recycling economy. We need promoters and developers, we need constructions, EPCs and installers, and we need people to operate with the new figures, with the new professional opportunities that we see in the future, which are, for instance, the optimizers, the distributions and commercialization in behind the meter. The presence of the aggregator is going to be very interesting. Also the communities. So there is still a lot of opportunities, and this map has to be completed if we want to create a real industry with all the completed value chain. Okay, some conclusions just to finish, I think. So the 2025 is going to be a critical year for the storage deployment. We have to find a solution to accelerate the permitting of the awarded projects, but not only the awarded projects, probably with all the projects that are in process. The timing we are getting is about 3-4 years, which is extremely high. But the awarded projects have a deadline if they want to take the benefits of the next generation funds. So this is it's a great priority for us to find a solution to accelerate the permitting process for the awarded projects co-located, as I told you before, and also for the standalone has to be awarded in the next days. Flexibility is mandatory. There cannot be other way to install and to consider the storage in the new energy paradigm. Okay, and it has to be implemented in the next 2 years. In fact, that's what we asked the regulator, 2 years as the top, but with some milestones in the middle that includes all the distribution technological updating, and also includes some procedures from the operator. Okay, so if we can achieve these milestones in the middle, we could really achieve these 2 years to find the final model, which means flexibility. And the best pricing is dropping down. This is a very interesting, or let's think about it. Okay, it's interesting because the Chinas are providing and basically the 80% of the total best solutions. But what's going to happen in Europe? What are we going to do? How the NCA of the Raw Material Act is going to work? What's happening with the Draghi plan? And are we going to protect our industry or not? This is in the middle of the debate today. So perhaps we could see some pricing or some prices rising up because we have to defend our industry if we don't want to lose this opportunity at all. Okay, let me give you an example. For all the projects that has not been awarded, the China providers are offering the same amount they ask in the subvention in discounting of the price of the batteries. I don't know if you know what does it mean, but for instance, if you've been awarded with 1 million, the Chinese provider go to you and they tell you, don't worry, I discount you 1 million and go ahead with the project. I mean, their position is extremely aggressive in the commercial, from the commercial side. We can say, okay, great, we are investors, we want the best price. Or we can say, stop 1 minute, let's think what's going to happen in Europe. Let's think how will this strategy from the China providers will affect and will harm our own industry. And let's see what happened then, okay? But the capital market is still focused in Spain. But we say but, because I don't know if it's going to keep over the years, okay, or along the years, okay. We think Spain is a very attractive market. We have sun, we have land, we have a necessity of storage. Renewables has to be deployed massively, and the storage is the partner that the renewables needs, yes or yes. But there are some investors that are looking for new countries. I think we will get them back when Spain has a clear picture of what should happen in a very short term. For instance, just let me point out that we are going to organize our meeting, our Congress, outside of Madrid in Zaragoza. It's about 300 kilometers, 1 hour and a half in train. I mean, it's not Madrid, it's not a capital, and we move 500 people, okay, which is a massive success. But what's in the back of that? Right? The back of that is there is still great appetite of what happened in Spain, what's going to happen, and what is going on, okay? And obviously we need more demand. I think Oriol said that, I mentioned that before. This is not clear how it's going to happen, but I think from the industrial sector, new industry, the ministry said, and the government said there is a lot of interest from new industry, for instance, the data industry, to be installed in Spain. Spain is like a great hub for data to connect America, Latin America with Europe. So we have the challenge there. There are more than 10 gigawatts of access submitted for this kind of industry. So in a distribution level. So what we see is the new industry like this one, the decarbonization process of the existing industry, and the electric vehicle has to provide more demand, not only to move to solar, as we said before, just to create new demand. If we don't create new demand and more demand, if we don't increase our demand, we've lost about 10 terawatt hour since in the last 20 years of demand. So we have to recover that and to increase that number. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Luis, for that great presentation. And thank you again for sharing this webinar with us for the second time. So we will start now the Q&A section of this webinar. And since we are already out of time, we will answer only a couple of questions. Uriol, I see that you have selected one question. Go ahead.
Yes, one question. They are asking if we only do battery studies at the utility scale, or we also do behind the meter commercial scale projects. We do both. So we obviously do utility scale, but we also have projects with some industrial consumers. They are planning to install batteries, usually associated with a rooftop PV installation. So in order that they can manage their own production and their own consumption. So basically getting better prices. Also, if there are some instructions from the grid operator in order to reduce the production at some point, they can always use stored energy. So yes, we do both with both kinds of projects.
Thank you, Uriol. And well, since we haven't received any more questions, we will end the webinar now. So thank you again, Uriol and Luis, for your presentations and for joining the webinar and the audience. And as Uriol mentioned, I invite you to register to our next webinar in December. It marks the 5th anniversary of our webinar series. And yeah, it will be really interesting. Thank you again and have a nice day.
Thank you. Goodbye.